What's up, YouTube? It's your boy QTV back again in time with another video, man. And today, how many minutes this shit is? 10 minutes. Today, man, we're gonna be reacting to 15 of the most smartest smugglers in all history. I just feel like I wanted to see this, man, because I just wanted to, man. Like I just wanted to see it, man. You know what I'm saying? But what I gonna say? Yeah, if you're new to the channel, man, please subscribe. Continue to support your boy. Give this video a like. Share this video. I appreciate y'all for watching all my past videos and shit like that, man. Let's keep going around the road to 3,000. Let's get to this video.
Smugglers in all history. Cigarettes inside tree trunks. A+ for effort. Russian smugglers were trying to think of a way to smuggle cigarettes manufactured in Belarus to Poland, which would then be moved to Germany and then the UK. They decided one of the best methods would be to hollow out tree trunks and stuff packets inside. What they probably didn't anticipate was that the real trees would be a lot heavier than those stuffed with cigarettes. Customs officers at the Yagodin checkpoint at the Ukrainian-Polish border decided to carry out a random check and discovered that one of the trunks had been hollowed out.
See, what they should have did was put small cigarettes and a lot of tree and small cigarettes. They probably would have got away.
On closer inspection, they noticed that heaps of them had been hollowed out. They said it was almost impossible to tell the difference, but the weight was a dead giveaway that something wasn't quite right. Inside 27 tons of timber, 55 tree trunks were tampered with and contained 25,000 packets of cigarettes.
Damn.
The find was made on the Ukrainian side of the border, and guards used chainsaws to cut into the logs. The cigarettes were tightly packed inside. You gotta hand it to the smugglers. They really put on their
That shit definitely smart. I will say that. Ain't nobody out here doing some shit like that.
thinking caps for this job. Before we go on, like this video, smash the ball on your face when you're... Now it's plain sight. We all know that drug smugglers can be quite inventive, but some are just...
This is damn near impossible. What the fuck is that, bro? That damn near impossible.
It's time for the star topic. When you're doing something illegal, you know you can't do it in plain sight. We all know that drug smugglers can be quite inventive, but some are just on an entirely new level. A smuggling ring managed to import 1,000 kilograms, or 2,220 pounds, of drugs into the United States by stuffing them into car tires, batteries, and bumpers. Fortunately, they were caught. How do you think US Border Patrol found the drugs? Comment down below with the hashtag StarTopic and let us know your opinion in relation to what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving. Number 14.
They obviously must have like at the border they must have ran a car through some type of fucking magnetic search system. I don't know. Shit.
Gold inside soap. While we wouldn't call these people the smartest smugglers in history, they actually did a pretty good job of hiding gold they shouldn't have had, or should have at least declared. But you just can't beat airport officials who are always on the lookout for people trying to smuggle things into or out of a country. At a Mangalore International Airport, customs officials seized gold granules worth around $325 that a passenger had concealed inside a bottle of chocolate syrup and 4 soap bars. He had arrived at the airport early in the morning on an Air India Express flight from Dubai. After the discovery, he was arrested. The same thing happened to another man, but on a much larger scale. Customs officers discovered more than $50,000 worth of gold inside soap at the Tiruchirappalli International Airport in Tamil Nadu.
All this shit is international shit. They is not doing this shit in America.
Formed gold pouches wrapped in black plastic to fill in the gaps. They were then put back in their packaging so that no one would be any the wiser. But they were wise, and that man would have also been arrested for his smuggling efforts. Number 13. Cash smuggling. Have you ever watched Border Wars on National Geographic? This show is proof that anyone can be a smuggler, even a family. In one episode, they showed a family who looked every bit as innocent as you would expect a family to look. But they weren't innocent at all. Instead, they were smuggling a massive amount of cartel cash. A husband, wife, and 3 children pull up to the border crossing in a white SUV. They say they've been in the United States for around an hour and were shopping for school supplies.
¿Cruzaron por acá? Sí, por aquí. Armas, municiones.
Their story seems to check out until the border workers noticed scratching on the trunk and tampering around the windshield wipers. Because the car is new and the scratches look out of place, they decide to investigate further. Upon opening the hood, they notice a panel at the back that appears to be a wall. By bending it open, they discovered 26 packages containing at least $400,000. The border workers said they would then tow the car away into the seizure lot for further checks and spend the next 5 or 6 hours counting the money. Number 12. Drone smugglers caught on camera. It goes without saying that prison isn't gonna be a fun time. You don't have the freedom to do anything you please. So some criminals get creative with how they attempt to smuggle contraband into the prison's 4 walls. Corrections officers expect this though, so they are always on guard. In 2017, the Ministry of Justice released footage showing a gang using a drone to deliver contraband items to the tune of between 600,000 and 1 million pounds into the prison. Craig Hickenbottom, the ringleader, organized everything from behind bars. As a result of his actions, he was given an extra 7 years and 2 months in prison. The footage shows 2 people climbing a fence with a yellow bag and a drone. They then proceed to strap the cargo with fishing line to the drone. They flew it from a nearby field over a hedge and into the prison grounds. They were caught on camera several times, taking in items like weapons, drugs, phones, and even a Freeview box so the prisoners could catch up on their favorite shows. Cameras inside the prison showed a ringleader with an improvised hook. With it, he caught the line attached to the drone to bring in the goodies. According to the officer that caught them, the ringleader had organized at least 50 flights. Number 11.
Oh wait, that ain't shit.
11. Snakes taped to smuggler's body. It's not just cash, drugs, and gold that get smuggled from one place to another. It can also be animals. A 22-year-old Norwegian man had been pulled aside for a spot check, and customs officers noticed a tarantula casually cruising around one of his bags. That was a red flag for the customs officers, who pulled the man aside to carry out a more thorough check. They may have expected a few more spiders, but they discovered a whole lot more than that.
I don't give a fuck. I ain't carrying no snake. I hate snakes. I truly hate snakes. That's like one of my biggest... I hate snakes.
Instead, the man had 14 non-venomous royal pythons rolled up in socks and taped around his torso. But that wasn't all. Each of his legs had small tins strapped to them, each containing a single albino leopard gecko. Before being able to leave the town of Kristiansand after arriving from Denmark by ferry, the man was arrested. Unfortunately, animal smuggling is all too common, particularly
Who
game.
Who the fuck smuggle animals though? Like who got time? Who loves animals?
way. There are
That
many
much.
prohibited
I don't fuck with animals that much to smuggle them motherfuckers. God damn.
things to keep them entertained or happy. But if there's one thing you shouldn't do, it's try and smuggle them out. After all, they do the crime, they do the time. Maria Del Mar Arjona was a pregnant 19-year-old woman whose husband was serving a 20-year jail sentence for various crimes at a Chetumal prison. On a conjugal visit, she took a large suitcase with her, which initially didn't raise any suspicions. After all, she was staying with him, so she needed clothes, right? But as she went to leave, guards noticed that she was struggling with her suitcase a bit. It seemed heavier and more awkward on its wheels. The guards also noted that Maria seemed a little nervous. If you were just carrying your clothing, that probably wouldn't be the case. Before she could leave the main doors, she was stopped. Inside her bag was her husband, who was just wearing his socks and underpants. He was promptly sent back to his cell, and we're gonna take a guess here and say those conjugal visits were no longer allowed. Number 9. Man inside car seat. Border officers have to be at their very best at any time of the day or night. If they aren't, they may just miss some of the crazy ways that people try and smuggle goods and people over the border. In March, an 18-year-old U.S. citizen was stopped at the Calexico West port entry at around 1 a.m. in a black Mitsubishi. Something must have seemed off to officers because they sent the driver and her vehicle for further inspection. On the surface, nothing seemed amiss. She was crossing the border and was the sole occupant in the car. But once the border officers got the canine team involved, they quickly realized that wasn't the case at all. The dogs were particularly interested in the rear seat. Underneath the seat cushions in a compartment that they described as non-factory was a 48-year-old Mexican national. He was taken into custody at the Imperial County Jail, and the woman was awaiting criminal proceedings. According to the CBP Director of Field Operations for San Diego, Pete Flores, their national security mission was to protect the American homeland from threats. He said this was an example of inhumane tactics used to circumvent our laws. Number 8. Drugs in car seat. Drugs continue to be a massive problem around the world, so border patrols do their best to stop them from being smuggled from one country into another. It's their eye for detail that led them to uncover around $200,000 worth of drugs hidden in around 9 a.m. at the El Centro border. While they were inspecting it, the K9 unit alerted officers that something was amiss. The driver, aged 42, was requested to undergo a secondary inspection. That was when they managed to find 5 sealed packages of drugs in the vehicle's rear passenger seats.
I think I want to bet it's going to be cocaine.
In total, there were around 12.5 pounds of drugs with a street value of close to $200,000. The driver of the vehicle was a Mexican citizen, and they were turned over to the Drug Enforcement Administration along with the narcotics and vehicle. Prior to that discovery, border officers at the El Centro sector border.
I just wonder what. My question is, what do the police do with the drugs, bro? That's my whole thing. We know they just don't throw this shit away.
Find them. Number 7. Phones strapped to a body. A lot of things are banned in China, like violent video games, fireworks, and some books, like of smuggling phones. Phones and electronics tend to be far more expensive in mainland China than in regions nearby like Hong Kong. So, to save a few bucks, some people hire people to smuggle electronics in from outside of mainland China, or they do it themselves. They can then avoid paying import tax and sell them for a profit. But sometimes, people who do that get caught. In 2015, a man was arrested at China's border with a whopping 94 iPhones strapped to his body. He had used plastic bags and tape to strap 6 and 6 Plus Apple only. Officials held the man's body. If you ever sat next to a nervous flyer, you would notice they tend to fidget, sweat, and keep an eye on the closest exit. But if you happen to see a Dutch traveler moving around in his seat back in 2011, then that wasn't why he was fidgeting. He had live hummingbirds in his pants. Yeah, acting suspiciously. Detained him at the road found over. The little parcels were secured in place with cloth tape to stop the birds from flitting about while in his pants. But we can only imagine that those beaks could have done a number on his legs. They didn't appear to have been sedated during the flight, but the birds seemed to be alive. Apparently, this birds likely out ammo. In the southernmost
They had to be the most goofiest shit I ever seen. Like, who the fuck smuggling birds, snakes, geckos, and shit, bro? That shit ain't that deep.
city of Texas, Brownsville, stolen cars are often used for smuggling contraband. So there's a special investigations unit set up for car thefts and narcotics to investigate reports of vehicles being used in smuggling activities.
Our unit, Special Investigations Unit, consists of primarily auto theft and narcotics.
In one particular case, officers inspect a suspicious pickup truck in a lot that they suspect will be exported to Mexico. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary pickup truck, but something is hiding within it that they possibly weren't expecting. The K9 unit alerts them to something around the truck bed area. They notice that the tailgate is welded shut and the bed liner has been altered. The base of the liner isn't flat and there are loose and new-looking bolts keeping it in place. Once they remove the liner, they find thousands of loose ammunition, as well as magazines and a few guns.
Damn.
The truck bed is about 3 inches deep with loose ammo. The officers definitely have their work cut out for them, as they have to count each piece of ammo and separate it into the various sizes. While it is a massive haul, they say it's a mere fraction of what people attempt to smuggle into and out of the US. Number 4. Man dresses as car seat. While not smuggling per se, this is a hilarious attempt at hiding a person so a vehicle can look like it's driving itself. A man dresses as a car seat and other drivers and pedestrians are confused about whether the van's driving itself. The goal of this experiment is to gather research for autonomous vehicles. The man behind the wheel wants to get an idea of how people respond to driverless vehicles. What immediately became apparent is that when the vehicle stops at pedestrian crossings, some give the vehicle a wave to thank it for stopping. They don't notice that there isn't anyone in it. The Ford has 2 white lights at the front that mean different things. When it's moving side to side, that means the car will stop. If it starts blinking, it means it's
Sick of all the ads like this one? Just head to adskiller.com, click on Activate Now.
gonna start up
I ain't
again.
gonna lie, that's actually kind of like dope. I ain't gonna lie.
Autonomous vehicle manufacturers want to create an international language that shows people what a car's planning on doing so they can plan their next moves accordingly. Researchers who traveled around in these self-driving vehicles collected about 150 hours and 1,800 miles of data to review at a later date. Number 3. Smugglers leave Jeep on border fence. Illegal border crossings are nothing unusual, but what is unusual is this method for trying to cross a border, using a vehicle and ramps. In 2012, suspected smugglers had set up ramps at the US-Mexico border in the southeast corner of California by the Imperial Sand Dunes. They then attempted to drive an SUV over the 14-foot border fence using those ramps. As you can imagine, it didn't go to plan. They got the Jeep stuck at the very top of the barrier. Agents at the border spotted the vehicle and noticed 2 smugglers trying to free it when they approached. They abandoned the car and ran into Mexico to escape being caught. The border officials said the Jeep was empty, but it was likely filled with contraband before it got stuck on the fence. Believe it or not, this isn't the first time people have tried to drive over the border wall. It had been successfully pulled off the year before, but the vehicle's occupants were immediately captured. Given the lack of vegetation around this part of the border, it's not exactly easy to camouflage a massive vehicle climbing the border wall. You're just bound to get caught, so we wouldn't call these smugglers very smart. Number 2. Drugs in fake belly. Smugglers are getting smarter and smarter. We hate to think just how many contraband items have been missed due to how many unique methods they have for hiding them. However, just as smugglers are getting smarter, so too are airport workers and border officers.
La cual pretendía sacar 2 kilos de cocaína del Aeropuerto Internacional El Dorado.
Sat down as she attempted to leave Colombia, but as it turns out, she wasn't pregnant at all. The customs officer noticed how her belly felt cold and hard, which is not what you would expect with skin and warm blood. It wasn't a baby in there, it was 4 pounds of drugs. Amazingly, the stomach looked real. When she lifted her shirt, it was a skin-colored stomach with a belly button and stretch lines where you would expect to see them. Footage, she still looks like a pregnant woman, not silicone. Number 1. Drugs in implants. It's amazing the lengths that smugglers will go to for a payday, even going so far as to have surgical procedures to hide the drugs inside their body. Airport security always go the extra mile with passengers arriving from Bogota, Colombia. This destination is known for its drug trafficking, so many smugglers go to extreme lengths to bring drugs back with them. One woman probably went a little further than most by smuggling drugs inside her implants. After an airport security check in Spain, the woman's story wasn't adding up. She was offering vague answers, so they knew they had to find out more. They immediately thought she might be carrying drugs in her luggage or on her body. They were wrong. She was carrying them in her body. After being patted down by a female officer, they discovered bandages with blood on them underneath her. These were covering incisions. The woman said she had new implants and they must not have healed properly. Police weren't convinced, and she was taken to a hospital where a medical team removed bags from each, which contained 3 pounds of drugs worth around $35,000 a pound. These smugglers clearly have a lot of...
I ain't gonna lie, the last smuggler was probably the smartest smuggler. Even though I wouldn't have went that extra mile just hell no, that girl got fake titties. But that's it for this video, man. If y'all rock with this, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe.